Why didn't I take that job with the Osmonds?
That was this little kid's mind?
Talk to me.
TV in the 80s was really kind of an interesting sort of jigsaw puzzle. You know, on the one hand, you had the really sort of the frivolous stuff like the A-Team, the Magnum PI, the Charles in Charge. You had some stuff that was really going for a harder edge.
This was a period when people were beginning to have many more choices in their viewing than they'd ever had before, and it changed the content of TV shows. TV shows no longer could just show up and take up your time. They now had to grab you by the throat and hold on to you and build loyalty and bring you back week after week by doing something that would be so compelling that you couldn't pass it up.
That'll make you sick.
I am sick.
Cop shows are just like an easy genre. You can always do endless stories about just, you know, chasing the bad guys.
Shows like Miami Vice were clearly designed to bring in youth. And with the breakthrough music in that show, for instance, and the breakthrough graphics, and the way the whole show was edited, it was really different than almost anything else on television at that time.
First of all, it was a cop show, but it was a cop show that looked like no other cop show. The old adage is that the guys were sitting around talking, and one of them said, MTV Cops. Everybody went, yeah. Michael Mann was brought in to make it look more like something nobody had ever seen before. He's the one that put the long shots in it. He's the one that decided to think about the color palette. You've never seen anything like it on a cop show. You've never seen crane shots like they had on it. You've never seen cars and colors the way they looked on it.
Michael, I think, you know, he caught something that just hadn't been caught on television prior to that. He bottled up a fashion, music, and cultural vibe into one show, you know, and changed directions for the way people talked and dressed and listened to music and everything off of one network television show.
These guys were cool and fashionable, and you know, they were the trendsetters of the time. I mean, it's ridiculous to even think about that now, that we would want to follow the fashion sense of a private eye or a cop. You know, now, of course, you want to follow the fashion sense of, you know, the guys on Queer Eye for the Straight Guy.
Miami Vice, for sure, was the show in the 80s that had the biggest impact on pop culture, for sure, hands down. To this day, when you say Crockett and Tubbs, you don't need to give an explanation. People know who Crockett and Tubbs are. They just know. And if someone says, oh my gosh, look at him, he looks like he's dressed from Miami Vice, you know immediately what that means.
On Miami Vice, you had a couple of guys who drove fast cars and talked in a way that maybe you weren't used to hearing the cop on the beat talk or a normal detective talk. And the idea was that they were a new breed of cop.
Sonny Crockett was like one of the great characters ever created, and Don was the perfect guy to play him.
He was a lady killer. He was just so smoking hot. And that's probably another reason the show was such a success, because every little girl just loved him.
Tubbs is loyal, he's smart, and brave. He and Don had a terrific chemistry.
If you think you're going to have a conversation with him over a tea and Thorazine, then...
Ringo, what have I done to you? Tell me! What do I gotta do? All right, look. Listen. If he doesn't pick this picture, then we'll go home.
Well, television is a medium that goes for likable characters.